Hello, welcome to Talking Good Game. It's just finished. West Ham United 0, Burnley 1 at the London Stadium. So relegation battle continues for another week. At least we're here to discuss the highlights. Gonzo, on the 23rd minute there was a water break. That was pretty much the first highlight of the... Listen, Burnley went 1-0 up in the 38th minute. Prior to them going 1-0 up, what were you thinking?
I thought the first few minutes they got us too easy. They were able to get our back line. That being said, they weren't particularly testing our keeper, and we were testing theirs. So I think it took us a little while to get going in the game, but then we did, and we started to cause them some problems. With in particular, I just thought Bowen's running. Those two guys again. Bowen's running was just working so hard, even though I felt he was out. Well, he was out of position. I felt he was out of position. And also Souček was just getting in so often. He was really having... Well, it looked like he was going to have a big impact on the game at that point. And then, before they scored. I
thought it was a funny game. It was a very boring and dull game. I thought the half chances were half chances at best. Souček had he should have scored, really. That Pope was a fantastic save by Pope. Vidra had his header, but it was a bit half-chancey. The match wasn't played with too much tempo. I was a bit bored, to be honest, watching you. Do you know when the water break come, I thought maybe the water break isn't for the players to have a drink. Maybe it's for the people watching to go get one so that they can sit through the next 23 minutes of it. But they scored in the 38th minute, though. Geo Rodriguez with a header. Ball come down their left. Charlie Taylor with a cross in. I've got one of my favourite sayings, Gonzo. Show me a goal, I'll show you a mistake. There was a couple here.
I've got the right to be honest with you, mate. That's really peed me off, that game, for any number of reasons. The goal, what do you want? That was 70% Cresswell's fault, 30% Fredericks' fault. I don't know what to say, which is not very good on a review when people have tuned in to hear what we got to say. There's no urgency from Fredericks at all. No urgency. Like when someone's through on goal and the defender doesn't necessarily get to tackle him, but you might say, do you know what? He did just enough to put him off. Didn't do anything to put him off. Not only that, he actually shaped his body that way to allow the ball to go round him. After you he went. But we'll get on to Fredericks later. And we will, right? We will. And then, I don't know what Cresswell was doing. He completely lost his man. He seemed to do a little hop, skip and a jump before he went into his running. Stumbled into... Just completely lost his man. That's just someone not being alert. It's not marking. He's a defender, not marking. He was so late to the party. It was unbelievable. And time again, we get attacked from the flanks. You said something in the build-up, which was, I don't know, McNeil would probably like to cut in, and when you said that, I thought, that might be good. We might have a few less crosses. Maybe I should have said it on the thing, because so then we might not be threatened quite as much. But we are just so weak in that area, and the fact that I'm pretty sure anybody, including I'm pretty sure if Moyes had had 4 signings to make him in January rather than 2 or whatever, not including Randolph, I'm pretty sure fullbacks would have been on the list, and we know he was after Matty Cash or whatever, but that is just not good enough. It's constantly not good enough from our fullbacks. You can absolutely see why he wanted to persevere with playing Ngakia there, because it's terrible, and that's the choice. What Cresswell there, it's just terrible, Gio. It is absolutely terrible in terms of the very basics of defending.
The theme of the fullbacks playing crap, though, was a theme for the whole game, really. So I'm not surprised it came from either one of them or both of them. The worst thing is Burnley's the worst team to do it against. I don't mean just because of the way they come down the flanks. You would never see Charlie Taylor or Phil Bardsley doing what they've done tonight. You would never see Burnley defenders, like you said, Fredericks gets out the way of the cross. He actually moves out the way. If he stood still, he would have blocked it. He didn't even have to do anything. He was in the right position. But then he somehow leans back and lets the ball go in. And Cresswell's, he's looking now and again. You watch him, he's looking for Rodriguez, but then he stops looking and starts watching the ball, which is okay as long as you move towards the ball. But when you then just watch the ball coming at you, And how he decides to try and kick it like that in the first place, I don't understand. I don't know why he's not going to head the ball either. It doesn't make any sense. He's got caught sleeping by Rodriguez, and it's just a shambles of a goal. When you watch it back, you just think, how amateur is this? It's just rubbish. I actually don't mind conceding a goal to a top strike. Like when Willian scored that free kick against us, I thought, fair play. We can pick faults at this and that, but it's a good strike. Well done. But that... it's so easily prevented as well. But the worst thing is, before that, I thought the warning signs were there from the goal coming from Charlie Taylor. Yarmolenko couldn't keep up with him, and Yarmolenko didn't want to keep up with him. He kept just, whenever Taylor got the ball, you could see Yarmolenko's body language. He's like, I've got to go and defend. He didn't want to do it. I would have changed something up earlier on to get Yarmolenko away from Charlie Taylor and said, you go take Phil Barsley, the slow one, the right back. You go to the slow one, and we'll get Bowen out here on his natural side and let him deal with the pace of Charlie Taylor. The warning signs were there from the second minute, to be honest with you. Gonzo, Burnley come out the traps pretty quick down that left-hand side. I thought McNeil would start on the right. That's why I said about him cutting in, but he didn't. He started on the left as well, and I have to say, I can only assume Sean Dyche has targeted Ryan Fredericks for this with putting McNeil up against it, because they kept coming down that side. They got their goal. Happy days. Then Antonio's chance, though. Antonio's chance right at the end of the first half, 1-on-1, and he shanked it. I guess that's what you would describe it as.
No, I think he caught it more or less as he wanted to. Because he tried to shape it inside, but he just didn't shape it enough. I think he was actually trying to do that motion, and it did do that. And I mean, it actually just clipped the outside of the post, but it was. I think he got this. Yeah, I think he struck the ball as he would have liked, but it was 6 inches too wide, so to speak, rather than it sort of ricocheting off of his foot. I don't want to go too hard at Antonio on that, because he's not a striker, and we're lucky actually in the last 2 games that he scored striker type goals. But it did show that we didn't have a striker in there. Fortunately, we did have a striker who was going to come on later on, and he's really good in front of goal and wouldn't squander any such chance. But it was a massive chance. Also, there was a chance for Souček as well, and we had chances. Anyone could see we had chances to win that game today, and we could have won that game. And not just for the chances. There was so much that should have been done differently. But even with us not playing at our best, we still managed to create some chances. But I think the thing is, I think this thing is frustrating, Joe, is I look at the Wolves game and I thought, actually, it doesn't matter how we'd have played against Wolves. They just would have beaten us. We were completely outdone. I looked at that today and thought there were so many things that could have been done differently that would have enabled us to get some points from the game. It's just an endless list of them, actually.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why it's an opportunity lost today. I thought Antonio's chance, so I know he's not a striker, but he's a winger. Wingers have got to be scoring that. They do. It's. I don't want to say it's that easy, but he's got that much time. He's through on goal. He's on his favourite foot. He has to. I get what he's trying to do, and I don't necessarily think it's the wrong thing, but he's got to be scoring that. It's as simple as that, really. He's just got to be putting that in the back of the net. And when I watched it, when it first happened, I thought, how's he missed? Like, it seemed harder to miss the target than it did to hit it. But it went in 1-0. What were you thinking at half time, though? Because I was a bit like what you've just said there, which is there's opportunity here.
Well, I was disappointed to be a goal down. I thought it was. But I thought we were a better team. I really did, because the commentator was going on how they'd kept us at bay, but there's no way that they wanted us to have the clear-cut chances that we'd had, so they weren't keeping us that much at bay. But it was really evident, and I mean really evident. You know me, Joe, I'm not a massive watcher of goalkeepers, but that guy was coming out and catching the ball. I mean, he just kept on coming out and catching the ball. When he didn't catch the ball, he'd punch the ball, and he'd punch it a long way. So that was clear. So at half-time, I was thinking, okay, we need to try and cut that out. We need to cross it differently or do something differently. We need to take the goalkeeper out the equation, because he's quite dominant in the air. And you say about them targeting Fredericks. You don't need to target Fredericks to put him under pressure, because he will just give you the ball. You can actually stand off him, and he'll just give it to you. It's just terrible. And I was looking at it thinking, well, he's obviously going to do something at fullback now, because he has to. And So there were a number of things I was looking to do. You sort of have to swallow the Yarmolenko one, which at half time I was thinking, because, okay, looking at it in retrospect, Yarmolenko is perhaps an impact sub for the rest of it. That particular experiment didn't work. But I don't blame him for trying it. But there were things that were going on in that match. And the biggest problem we had in that match wasn't, aside from the fullbacks and the goalkeeper catching it, was that our main midfield enforcer wasn't the best midfielder on the pitch today, and that's fine, because he's built up a lot of credit. But when your main stopper's not stopping, and your main passer, your creative passer, in Fornals is giving the ball away, then you've got massive problems. So something needs to be done. I wasn't suggesting taking Declan Rice off, by the way, but something needed to be done. You can't expect Declan Rice to be man of the match every match. You can't. It's physically impossible. But there was a lot that could have been tinkered with at half time, and I was expecting stuff to do it. And I actually wrote down, obviously we'll talk about the second half in a minute, on 53 minutes, I've written down in capital letters, Moyes must change now. Because it just wasn't happening. It was crazy.
Yeah, at half time, funny enough, I actually wanted us to us do more crosses. I would have just liked to have seen us take Nick Pope out of the game. I would have had someone walloping him early doors of the second half. Say, go in and not headbutt him. But if someone has to take a yellow card to really give him an Andy Carroll style 50-50 in there, do it. Just make him nervous for the next time he comes out. And every time he's coming out and punching it, that's fine. All it takes is one miss, and then you keep the keeper's out of the equation, someone's heading into an empty net. I just felt like when it was 0-0, I actually felt we were getting behind the Burnley defence now and again. I thought we were giving Long in particular a race on foot, and Antonio was beating him every time. He was having to commit fouls, and I like that. But as soon as Burnley went 1-0 up, that's it. The spacing behind Burnley's defence is gone. They sit back, say, you have the ball now, what are you going to do? And that's why I felt the first half was a bit of a false dominance. We looked like we had loads of possession, we did, but it suited Burnley. Burnley don't want the ball. I say they don't want it, they do, but they're not going to come out and get it until you're 30 yards from their goal. They don't care. You have on halfway line, that's fine. You have on halfway line. Jay Rodriguez might put in a tackle now and again, but they're not that bothered. They'd rather keep their shape and not have some headless chicken come running out and then create a space for you to get into. That's not what they do. They stay in their two banks of four. The strikers even come quite deep and make it a really difficult thing to do. So at half time, I would have had Fornals off and Alier on. I would have been battering that box in a second. I would have said to Solskjaer, you're now like a number 10. Get in that box. Because he was by far the most dangerous player on the park in the first half. Solskjaer didn't see him in this box once in the second half, so I don't know where he disappeared to. In the first half, he was making the runs, we were getting the crosses in. I don't think Yarmolenko was working, but I felt if anyone was going to put in the cross that misses Nick Pope and someone heads it, it was probably Yarmolenko. So I would have liked to have seen him taken away a little bit from their fullbacks and said, right, let's get him a little bit of space so he can swivel and get it in, so he can pick out players a little bit. But I was alright at half time as long as we changed it. But we didn't change it. But 58 minutes though, VAR or lack of VAR here is now I don't like blaming referees and such, and this isn't a referee's thing, this isn't Michael Lawler's fault, but Tarkovsky's challenge on Jared Bowen, a bit meaty.
Geo, I mean, listen, I get stick. Look, either last time or time before we played Burnley, Lanzini got completely taken out of the game, completely taken out. I said that as a not only did he got taken out of the game, just come back from his knee injury and it put him out injured again. It was a red card. It was a red card. It absolutely was, and we're lucky that it was Bowen, because I don't doubt he's going to have a massive bruise there. Right? He's not the type. He's not the type that's going to roll up his short leg and take a. I'm not saying one leg's longer than the other, by the way, but he's not going to roll up the shorts on his leg and take a photo of it and put it on Instagram. But I bet if he did, there'd be a massive bruise there. And you know, I mean, quite a lot of trauma to the leg. It was nasty. He knew what he was doing. He gives it all, whoops, you know, sorry, and all that. Anyone other than Bowen, they probably would have hobbled off. But we've learned quite a lot about Bowen in the past few games. They're about his technique and about we've learned a little bit something else about him tonight. Not just because of that, because that was. There was one. I know I'm jumping the gun. There was one particular point where we lost the ball, and Haller and Bowen were in a similar position, and he'd obviously been on all game, Bowen, and he chased back to get the ball. It wasn't much. It was only 10 yards. But Haller just sort of looked at it and thought, "Oh no, okay, maybe midfielder will come and get that." And I tell you what, if we could get a striker, well, I guess we have in Antonio at the moment. But if you get a striker that also does that with that work rate, then you know you're a different team. But he is. fair play to Bowen for picking himself up and carrying on after that, because that was nasty. I'll be off work tomorrow if it happens to me.
I couldn't believe they didn't look at it, especially considering Nikita's red card for Arsenal last night, which is extremely similar. If you haven't seen it, have a look. It's extremely similar to Tarkovsky's. They're both studs up, above the knee, on the thigh. He's nowhere near the ball. He's clearly not going for the ball. I don't know. I was just a bit disappointed, but I'm not going to blame that particular thing for the reason we got beat. 61st minute, though, Sebastian Aller came on for Yarmolenko in about 61 minutes and 10 seconds. He had a pretty big chance, Gonzo. Little bumbles round in the box. Antonio tries to have a go at it, and it falls to Sebastian Aller. Great save by Pope, but again, he's a £45 million striker, and that's what you would expect a £45 million striker to score from.
Yeah, I mean, I was less concerned about that and more concerned about the running, actually, to be fair, because I did think he contested the ball well. I probably would have gone near. I see if it were me, like I'd be in that position and I would have
dinked it delicately over the oncoming ball.
Everyone knows what I'd have done, Geo. But no, I think I would have gone near post if I was a £45 million striker, rather than try to shape it round the goalkeeper, so to speak. It was an error. I mean, I thought we had three major chances in that game, and that was one of them. Different days. You know, he's coming back from injury, and maybe he was blowing and all the rest of it. Maybe it's just rustiness. It's a real shame. But then again, he scored 2 in the whatever it was, the warm-up games, whatever you want to call them. He needed to score that. Antonio needed to score that. Heller needed to score that. And David Moyes will probably take, as we discussed this before, some comfort. He'll probably there'll be some stats today which will say we had a few shots on target, and you're a man for your betting. I think we had a lot of corners today. You probably know.
I don't know how many, but we had plenty anyway.
Yeah. More than 6, I think. So Moyes will take that from it, and he'll think, we were unlucky today, but we weren't unlucky, Gio. We were architects of our own downfall, actually.
Yeah, I think the earlier chance. I think if he's on the pitch for 5 minutes more or something, he's had a few touches of the ball and he's a bit up to speed. I mean, it's difficult. It falls. He's literally just come on. He's probably just gone and stood there, and the ball's fallen to him. But he needs to be up to speed for that. If that was any other player, I'd be sitting slacking him off. And Allaire gets the same treatment. He should have scored. He's got to be scoring. The worst thing is, had he scored, he might have been starting at the weekend, but because he's missed that, I'm not sure he does start at the weekend unless Moyes decides he needs to change it up a bit. But it's just not good enough, especially when you consider the fact that Chris Wood come on, got one chance and scored. I know it got ruled off for VAR, but that was his one chance. He put in the back of the net with his movement. It's just frustrating, really. But Ajeti come on for Fornals in the 85th minute. What did you make of the remainder of the game? I guess there wasn't too much to talk about. It was just mainly watching Nick Pope punch the ball at the 18-yarder.
I couldn't believe the Fornals bit wasn't dealt with earlier. I really can't. I mean, you're quite right in what you say. And half time, maybe he should come off, and Haller come on to change the shape. But even if he's not going to do that, what do you want from Fornals? I'm talking David Moyes. What does David? Okay, clearly he's not going to run down the wing and cross it over. So clearly he's in there for another reason. I can only assume it's ball retention. And by the way, he did do a defence splitting pass quite near the end, but it was just slightly too wide. And I think it was Antonio couldn't quite recycle the ball. But he's clearly in there for his passing. When it's evident his pass is not working, when it's evident that he is not working, get one of the other passers on. Get Jack Wilshere on. Do you know what I mean? Get Lanzini on. Do something else. Even if you're not going to change a midfielder for a striker, do something else. Today was a poor game. He wasn't able to get into those pockets. We've seen the last 2 or 3 games, whatever it is, he's got into pockets. He's played a little ball through to Bowen. We talk about partnerships. You said about Fredericks and Yarmolenko being a nice partnership on the right. Well, another nice partnership that's starting to develop is Bowen, actually, and Fornals just inside him playing the ball through. We were denied that today, so he wasn't in that pocket. He wasn't able to do the killer pass. He wasn't able to create, and his 5-yard passes left and right were going and miss as well. Make a change. But I also thought a lot of our players, I thought we looked like we've been playing 2 games a week as well. There was a lot of players blowing near the end. Not even near the end, actually, after 60, 65 minutes. And today was a real opportunity Gio, I'm telling you now, I would have taken off, take your pick, I would have taken off one of the fullbacks, I would have taken Yarmolenko off, which he obviously did. I would have made 4 or 5 substitutions because there are a lot of people knackered. And it seems like you almost have to be on the point of collapse before you get taken off. And I don't know what would you say that the minutes were for Jetty coming on?
85th.
What's the point? Well, obviously, I know what the point is, to score a goal in the last 5 minutes. Why not let him try and score a goal in the last 15 minutes? Give him some time to impact the game. I'm really worried, actually, we're going to be really knackered against Norwich now, because, and also, even if he does have to change it, because people get up, a fatigue, or get a muscular injury during the week, or whatever, it's not like he's given Johnson or Wilshere or any of these other players enough time, so as when they can't hit the ground running against Norwich because they haven't had 20 minutes in every game and stuff like that. It's weird, isn't it? I found this more frustrating than Wolves. I really have.
I'm trying not to mention his lack of subs. It's really irritating me though. But
well, you can not mention it because I've just mentioned it. So say.
But he's just. We were knackered. Antonio was knackered. Rice was knackered. Rice was poor tonight. Yes. He was knackered. Yeah, he couldn't run. McNeil was running at one point down the middle of the pitch, and Rice was jogging after him. He looked like he was trying to run. He was just knackered. Fornals was knackered. Yarmolenko looked knackered, half-arsed a little bit when it comes to the defensive side of it, but we were just tired all over the pitch. And the one advantage we have, listen, Burnley are more organised than us, they work harder than us. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be the case, but it is, it's just facts. The one advantage we had is that Burnley have such a small squad. We could have rotated a bit. We could have said, right, keep it tight. Then on the hour mark, we're going to make 4 changes and we're going to bring on 4 really fresh players and test Burnley's fatigue here. We're going to test them. Because I thought Burnley looked tired too. They didn't want to get out their half for the last 10 minutes. They couldn't do it. They barely, whenever they come near our goal, it was usually one guy going solo. And it was usually Dwight McNeil running 30 yards and getting a throw in and moving the whole team up. But everybody was just tired. So I just don't understand why he's not brought on fresh legs. And the worst thing is, we're not asking him to bring on Alexander Silva or Ben Johnson. Well, it would have been nice to see Ben Johnson for in the fullbacks, but we're not asking him to bring on inexperienced players. We're asking him to bring on Mark Noble, Manuel Lanzini, Jack Wilshere. These are players on 80 to 100 grand a week. Two of them have been playing all right in the last couple of weeks when we've last seen them. So I don't understand why he's not brought them on. And I don't understand why he's brought a Jetty on, to be honest with you. I know you say it's to score a goal. I don't even think it's that. I think it's to be seen to doing a sub. David Moyes, are you telling me David Moyes genuinely believed a Jetty was going to come on and score? If so, why does he not come on in the Wolves game or the Tottenham game? After the Tottenham game, he said something along the lines of, he said something like, I've only seen him as much as you have. I just see him a bit more in training. Like, he clearly doesn't rate the guy, but that's all right. If you don't rate him, fine. Probably best not to say it publicly. Yeah, but also, if you don't rate him, then why are you bringing him on in a game that's 1-0 down? Surely you bring him on when you're 2-0 down, when the game's technically over. Surely that's when you take him on, not 1-0. I'm pleased to see him come on and have a chance, but I would like to see him have a chance, because 5 minutes is nothing. He had one header, which was really crap.
It was terrible, but you sort of feel sorry for him because that's his one chance for glory. Really, if he's on for 90 minutes, he does a little glancey header to play in the guy behind him. But he's there thinking, "This is my one chance. I've got to try and head it 15 yards."
That's his only chance. Well, last chance
in my West Ham career.
Yeah, you can always see Moyes now saying, "Well, I told you he was crap, didn't I? Look at him."
Yes, I thought that. When he
justification for not bringing him on in the 70th. I'm not that angry, tonight, guys. I was fuming, obviously, after the Spurs game. I'm not angry tonight because this is what I expect now. The worst thing is when you're watching on TV, because it shows you David Moyes standing on the touchline all the time, doesn't it? And he's just like this, and it makes you want to tear the TV off the wall. You're thinking, do a sub, come on, and then you can literally see the players struggling, and this is what I hate. The players are giving you 100%, and you have to help them out. You have to take them off when there's nothing left in the tank. You have to help them. We did it tonight. The thing is, though, it should never have come down to the subs. The players on the pitch should have taken the chances earlier. But at 1-0 Burnley, I said to you, I think it was this morning, I said to you, if we go 1-0 down, we're in trouble. We're not going to...
Yes, you did, yeah.
We're not going to do anything. So as soon as it went 1-0, I almost debated, I almost felt like saying, well, that's it, game over, because we're not going to do anything here unless we do something drastic. Now, drastic for me would have been, I would have been battering that box. You know, when I've been watching The Last Kingdom on Netflix recently about the ancient days of England. It's quite a good thing. But the point is, when they came up against a fortress that was hard to get into, they don't knock on the door. They don't try and go around the side. No, they batter the flipping door down. And Burnley is that English fortress that's difficult to get into. The only way of doing it is just battering them. Sheffield United got an equaliser against them midweek by simply just pumping the ball into the box constantly, and then it landed for one of their centre-backs, and it was a damn good finish, by the way. But that's what they'd done. They just kept flooding the Burnley box and saying, eventually, we're going to get something, and they did it. Tonight, I actually thought we did more crosses in the first half. The second half, I didn't feel we were crossing the ball that much. I just didn't feel we had anything. I was a bit uninspired, to be honest with you. I'm a bit worried about the Norwich game now, Gonzo, going by the second half. The first half, if you said to me at the first half, well, you beat Norwich, I would say, yeah, we're looking okay, we've got a little bit of something here. If you show me the second half, I'm not so sure. I don't know, I just think, I wouldn't be surprised if Dyche is disappointed. It was only 1-0 at the end of the day, because we were there for the taking, but it's just, the players were on the arse, Gonzo.
Yeah, well, that's what worries me more than anything about Norwich, to be honest with you. It's the fatigue levels of the players now, and it's really weird because he's in such a good, well, he was in such a good position, Moyes. You know, win this tonight. You know, he could, all the things he probably hates, he could put, you know, even his fiercest critics would have had to have toned it down a bit. If he'd have won tonight, and then it would have been, you know, 3 without defeat, probably safe with many games to go in the Premier League. Even his fiercest crickets.
Hello, I'm over here.
Hello, mate.
I am one.
Yeah, there you go. I just find it absolutely really strange. So many things that the people that don't know, non-professional people who never works in football, can look at it and see what's wrong, and yet he can't. And that worries me a lot.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand how he can genuinely stand there. And for someone who, he's obviously into his data, right, David Moyes, because he came out after Spurs and said that was our second best physical statistical game, and it was all right, okay, right. Surely he must look at the stats, and in the last 10 minutes of the games, we must do a lot less running. It certainly feels like it watching it. He must be able to see from his data that Antonio isn't anywhere as effective in the 80th and 90th minute as he was in the 50th to 60th. There's got to be clues, even in the mass, the hard black and white facts. It throws alarm bells. We have Wiltshire and Lanzini on the bench, for God's sake. These are not youngsters. I don't know. Anyway, individual players. Yes.
Hold on, just before you do. The thing is, there's a couple of things that happen. Just normally when you're knackered, you expect that you would run less at the end of a game. I just think that's natural. I bet that's the same for the last 10 minutes of any game with every team, for sure. The problem was we were so knackered, our technique had gone. So even people whose technique was usually quite sound, like Bowen, it sort of ricocheted off his shin, and he was trying, and because they were that knackered that their legs were just so heavy that they basically let it get to the point where they were so fatigued they could barely kick the ball, and that is not good in a game of football where the idea is to kick the ball. That worried me.
So Czech was literally lying down at one point. 5 minutes to go, he lay down, and Burnley had the ball next to him. He just lay there, and I thought, he's literally lying down. Help him, get him off the pitch. Just say to him, you're fine. You're starting against Norwich. You're putting a shift off. You get Wiltshire, on you go. If you want to start against Norwich, you need to do something. And it just baffles me that we've done it. If I was a sub, I would genuinely be fuming at my manager for that, because I'd be sitting there thinking, what has to happen for us to get on the pitch here? I don't get it. Anyway, individual performers, take your pick.
I don't want to go. I'll be honest with you, I've not got an awful lot to say, so I'm going to pick out. I'm going to speak about Ryan Fredericks.
I knew you were.
When Frank Lampard Senior, all right, basically when young Frank was at West Ham, he couldn't get off the mark quickly. He couldn't sprint the first bit. He was never the quickest player. His dad bought him some spikes and sent him to an athletics club where he said, can you just drill him in basically starts. Basically, can you teach my son to sprint 10 metres? That's what he did. He kept on doing it. He trained and he got quicker. He was never going to be Usain Bolt, but he got quicker. Harry Redknapp was manager of Tottenham Hotspur, and Frank Lampard Sr. walked in there. He saw Harry Kane for the first time. It's an easily researched story, this. And he walked in there and he said, Harry, that's a good player. He said, a bit slowly, you need to get him some spikes. So again, and then there's another, I can't remember the defender's name, but Steve McLaren, when he went in as the Man United manager, there was one of the defenders who was having trouble jockeying at set pieces. He actually sent him off for basketball training, believe it or not, because they all have to jockey, and it's about, basically my point is specialist training. Right? Someone needs to teach Ryan Fredericks to juggle, because he keeps taking his eye off the ball. There was one occasion today, the ball was coming out the air, and he must have closed his eyes. It then bounced off his head and went out for a throw-in, right? There was another one where it came out in the air, and he went to trap it under his foot. It rolled under his foot 10 metres towards the goal, and he went, and then, sorry, hold on, where's my, I don't know why my mic's not over there. I've done a Ryan Fredericks there, right? He's gone running towards it. There was another time where he was by the byline. He has just passed it. He tried to pass it to Yarmolenko. He passed it out for a throw-in. He tried to come inside. There was another time, his first touch, he completely missed. I have almost never seen, maybe I hark back to that Enner Valencia. Enner Valencia had a bit of something about him, but at least he had some technique to strike the ball. He is lacking the very basic hand-eye coordination. He needs some specialist training. He needs somebody to teach him to watch the ball. It's such basic stuff, and I only mean for the remainder of the season, because this cannot continue. And it's not. I hope that I'm wrong. So what did I give him last week? An 8 or a 7?
Something like that.
In a player rated. The one before, similar. I actually said, Geo, this is good. Back-to-back good games from Ryan Fredericks, and I was pleased. Because I'd like to think that I'm wrong. He has a massive lack of technique. His first touch is appalling. He also can't pass the ball. His speed is constantly getting him out of trouble sometimes. It's awful. It's awful, and it can't continue. I fear he's too young to learn any new technique, but he must learn to keep his eye on the football, because, it's got to be embarrassing for him. It must be when you can't make your foot touch the round thing, it's going to become a bit of an issue. So that's that. And I don't want people are going to look and say, "Oh, you've given Cresswell an easy ride." I haven't. I think it was awful. We desperately need 2 new fullbacks, but that I thought was really bad. I just want to say something nice now about Bowen, which is just what I said. The determination, the work rate. I still thought there were some magnificent balls put in for the set piece, for the corners today as well. He's going to be a real asset for us, hopefully for us, and not for anyone else. To have that much determination, I don't know. I would imagine he's one of the players that stays behind in training does a couple of hours and stuff like that. He strikes me as that sort. He's got a will to win, he's got determination, and he's quite skillful as well. And as good as Yarmolenko is in his cameo as a substitute, Bowen needs to go back into his position. In fact, if anybody didn't deserve to be moved, it was him, but I understand why it was done. And probably, we should probably just mention as well, Souček in the first half was a constant menace. We just didn't utilise it accurately, basically.
I don't think there was many great performers out there. I thought it was a match where the 2 keepers looked good. I thought Fabianski looked shaky a couple of times, but I think he made a couple of good saves. I thought Nick Pope was magnificent with all those crosses coming into his box, his punching that. But I'm a bit disappointed that someone never took responsibility and absolutely walloped one on him. I just can't believe that, especially when Moyes, you call him I call him a dinosaur, but it's such a medieval tactic to thump one on the keeper, and we're not even doing that. I don't understand why he's only doing half the dark ages of football stuff, and he's not even doing the good stuff. If you're going to do the dark ages stuff, do it all, and let's see it all. Let's get one on Nick Pope's head so he doesn't come for the second one.
Go do the full. If you're going to don't do half a Pulis, is what you're saying.
It's like Pulis without a cap, isn't it? It's just not right. Get the cap on, just be a full chav and play proper medieval football. But I didn't think there was loads of performance. I thought Rice was poor. I thought it was one of Rice's poorest games for a while. I didn't really see a leader out there, unfortunately. But the problem is, the good thing is, I know Fine will be good again on Saturday. It's not a concern. It's just that we praise Rice all the time. I think it's only fair that you pick out when he's not great. Whereas I think our fullbacks were shocking. In the end, Gonzo, I was actually laughing at Ryan Fredericks. I was sitting on my sofa because the ball, I think it was Fornals, played a long ball over to him from the left to the right, and Fredericks stood and watched it come in, and everyone's in the box. He stood still, come down, and there was a Burnley player running at him, so he was under a little bit of pressure, and I thought, he's not going to get this. And he just went like this, and it just went to Nick Pope, and I thought, what have you done? You've just killed the attack. Nick Pope just lets it bounce and leaves it, and then he bends down and picks it up. You could see Antonio and Halle are looking at Frederick saying, what have you just done that for? You just headed it into the Burnley box from 25 yards out beside nobody. What have you done? And I was just laughing. I was laughing at the TV because he'd done all the other things you spoke about, and I just thought, what's he doing now? It's got to the point now. How he didn't get subbed when we have a right back, an attacking right back on the bench, I do not know. But there we go. I don't know what else to say really. I thought Souček was a monster in the first half. I'm just disappointed we didn't capitalise on that. I thought he was winning everything in the air. When the ball went in there, Souček was favourite for everything. And it's been a long time since I've seen someone so dominant in the air against Burnley. So I thought, here we go. In the second half, he retreated 10 yards. I don't get it. That's why I would have taken... If he didn't take Fornals off, I would have swapped them. I would have said, Fornals, look, you're struggling. You're getting no space. You're struggling to find a pass. So let's come 10, 15 yards deeper and get the ball from your defence and turn round. So get up there next to Antonio. So when the ball comes in, you're already there. I would have just changed it slightly, but we didn't. We kept the same thing. And that's frustrating. It really annoyed me that tonight. I thought Bowen was all right. I thought... Yarmolenko should have been game for him, but it wasn't. He was poor in the end, which I was really disappointed by. I thought Bowen played okay. The subs didn't really have much opportunity, really. But we need changes for the next game now. We need to do something. We need to freshen it up. I thought we looked a bit stale tonight. And the worst thing is it should be Burnley that looks stale, because that's starting 11. The way Burnley play, they play the same way every single week. That's not a surprise, what we saw from Burnley. So how they can do that every single week and we still haven't worked out how to catch them out is thoroughly frustrating. But can I get your final words, please?
No, not really. I don't really know what else to say, Geo. I just find that really, really frustrating, actually. Said we had to grasp the nettle, and we didn't. It was a complete and utter opportunity loss. Now, we may well turn out that the games happen tomorrow, and it's fine because everybody loses anyway. But we do need to remember that if that is the case, that this is, yes, we got some points in the previous two games before this, but if we survive in the Premier League, half of it is down to how crap other teams are, as much as any points that we might have got on the board anyway. We go forward, mate. We move forward, but he's put the pressure on himself now. Massive pressure on Norwich game. Didn't have to be. Could have been no pressure on Norwich game. Now there's lots.
I think we've just wiped out the win from Chelsea, really. That bonus points is gone. We've just hoovered them up. And like you said, we now need to win at Norwich. We've got a point. Even a point tonight, I'd say a point against Norwich wouldn't have been ideal. But it's just enough just to keep edging away. But now we need 3 at the weekend. We're back to praying that Spurs and Man United do us a favour tomorrow against Bournemouth and Villa. That's what we're relying on now. We're relying on those two teams losing. Whereas... we spoke earlier in build-up and you said we can win tonight, put pressure on them. And I said, well, what happens if we lose, kind of thing. And here we are, we've lost now. They've now got the motivation in the world. All Eddie Howe and Dean Smith have to do is print off tonight's result, stick it on their changing room and say, there you go, that's happened. Sean Dyche has done you all a favour, take advantage of it. Because you know how we all joke that if we get relegated, we must be really crap given the circumstances. If I was Villa and Bournemouth, I'd be saying the same. Even West Ham are trying to chuck it away now. It was in their hands and now they're chucking it away. We've got to take advantage. It's not a good night. I'm not that angry because I'm not that surprised. I'm extremely disappointed and it's a massive waste of an opportunity. And here we are, back in squeaky bum time for another few days, Gonzo. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, Drop a like on it, subscribe if you're around here. Thank you for joining us. 650 odd of you watching us live. I appreciate it. Use watching on playback. We appreciate you too. We'll be back with a preview for the Norwich game tomorrow night. The games are coming thick and fast, which means injuries, no doubt. But we'll wait and see. Catch you in a bit.
Hello guys, how you doing? It's me, Jack, mate. You've just finished watching probably one of the best videos on YouTube. So why not take a moment to consider subscribing? And if you haven't already, hit the like button and turn the notification bell on. Apparently it helps. I don't know how. It was good to know, wasn't it?